It's refreshment time, folks.
All right. Well, we just want to say thank you for finding the time to do this. We know it's been we've been after you for a while.
Yeah, totally. I'm glad it's finally working out. Sorry, it's like over a year at this point, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's all right. It happens. We're persistent though.
That's how it's got to be, I guess.
Yes.
You know, it's funny. It's like just so many different things that it's like, just finally getting that on the calendar. That to be able to be like, okay, I can focus on that and then I can deal with things, and I don't know. Yeah, until it's that time.
Right. No, we really appreciate it. We're the same way. Getting on the schedule, it helps get it done. So it's really an honor.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's just obviously an honor for us to have you on here. We named our podcast after you guys, so it's really legendary.
Yeah, so it's like for you guys to name your whole podcast after us. That's I like that. That's I think that's like a new level of respect and appreciation that I just totally dig.
Yeah, we're brothers. We're actual brothers in real life. I'm Alec. That's Justin. So we were always kind of toying with the idea of starting a podcast for about a couple of years. And the reason we named it the Frog Brothers is because we were kind of, we're huge into Ghostbusters, and there's a lot of stuff going on with that currently. But there's a lot of stuff like Lost Boys that Justin has coined the term Ghostbusters adjacent, he calls it.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like Lost Boys, Fright Night, and so we just kind of naturally went with that because that's one of those movies, Lost Boys, is I don't remember ever watching it for the first time. That's just always existed in my head. I don't remember when I watched it. It's just always been there for me.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that, first of all, the Ghostbusters thing was a kind of referenced Joel Schumacher referenced the Ghostbusters with us, just because like trying to understand who we were. So he's referred to us as Vampire Busters at first, just to kind of get it across.
That's awesome.
It's an interesting connection between those two things. So we are in fact Ghostbusters adjacent.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, we're planning some cosplays that are, because we actually are part of the local Ghostbusters group here too. So we dress up as the Ghostbusters. So we're planning some crossovers where we'll both get the name tags that say Frog, and we'll carry around stakes and proton packs.
I love it. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
We have a bit of Ghostbusters fandom here in my household. Somewhere I have pictures of both my boys wearing Ghostbusters costumes. And I made them like what's it called? The thing that you just said?
Proton pack.
Yeah, the proton pack. I made it for them. I do that kind of stuff. Like with like black duct tape and some random box or carton that we had,
Yeah.
So that, and I also bought like this Ghostbusters jacket we have this place called Spirit Halloween. I don't know if that's the thing that's everywhere, but it's like a new level of like costume places. Like it's great stuff, and not like, I don't mean to do a plug for them or anything, but like so that kind of got us through quarantine a little bit, because my kids are like, they like to dress up, just they have that sort of bug that I have, which is like just trying to pretend. It sounds like you guys have as well.
Yeah.
And so we went there, and I got this jacket, this Ghostbusters jacket, that it's just a jacket that it's Ghostbusters. And I was like, I can have that and a thing on my forehead, like that thing that
Ecto-goggles.
Exactly, like you guys are the ones to know.
Yep.
And that's a costume, like if I'm running late and I go to a costume party, boom, I got it.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. I like to hear that you're DIY with that, though. There's nothing better than like a homemade Halloween costume, right? You can go buy some of the store-made stuff, and that's amazing. But like to make your own stuff and combine that with something you bought too, like that takes it to the next level.
I appreciate you saying that. I always liked to do that when I was a kid, and just so happy that I can do that for my boys. At this point, I'm sure that'll change. You'll be like, no, I want the costume that comes from the store. They'll probably go through that phase.
Myself, so I'm down in time for this tonight, but so
it's funny to think about that, because it's like, yeah, me too. Like I was giving them some food. That's how it is. It's like could be working on like big important stuff, and it's like, guess what? Still got to feed them, and you know,
still other.
Yeah, I've been recently looking on eBay trying to find some of the at least what looks like, because I'm not sure on the exact models of the different like Uzi looking squirt guns in the Lost Boys and stuff. They're necessary for the costume.
Right.
Yeah, vintage 80 ones, like those are not cheap. You'd be surprised like what some of those are going for.
Really?
Oh yeah, like especially if you find the model straight out of any 80s movie that you're looking for, you know, because they're like those clear ones, and there's a second market for those.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I should have kept it. I mean, you know, like I kept some stuff, and Feldman knew what he was doing. He kept a bunch of stuff from the shoot and every other shoot that he's been on. You know,
nice.
I had it for a while. I had that gun covered in slime. You know, because those scenes, like we were just in the middle of the vampire guts. You know.
Yeah.
and so, and I remember when they offered us the squirt guns, they were like, okay, which ones of these do you want? You know, and I went right for that Uzi one.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And then Haim went for the more of the, or I mean, you know, they guided us toward that because it's funny, right? When Haim pulls out that green one.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's great. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to get some of those, or at least lookalikes.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
I think one of the greatest about the Frog Brothers, though, is, you know, growing up, you know, watching Goonies and Ghostbusters, and then the Lost Boys. Like with the Lost Boys, you get this whole other level of heroes that are like relatable. So like they're, you know, your age, kind of like around that age. You know, like with Goonies, they're a little bit, you know, more kid friendly, and so they're on this giant adventure. But then here you go, and like here's some guys that are just, you know, essentially like young teenagers, like getting things done. And then you're like, oh man, awesome! I can really relate to that.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, that's a cool perspective because, like, you know, one of the things that, you know, I kind of lost perspective on the shoot that when I started talking to fans who'd seen the movie, you know, I realized kind of again was that the frogs were badass. Like the frogs really did get stuff done. Like they weren't just talking about it. Like they came through with all this stuff, you know, and so. You know, just that these guys, this sort of, for whatever comedy there was, you know, whatever sort of kind of a little bit of not quite bumbling, but you know, they're young and figuring stuff out, and the weapons check and, you know, and all that. It's like for all that, like we brought them down. You know, we brought the vampires down. I mean, with the help of everybody else.
No, there's just subtle things in the Frog Brothers characters that are great. Like, I just love like the death stare you're giving Corey Haim when he's rattling off about the comics. You can just like see your teeth gritting. Oh, it's great.
It's that, you know, another thing about that, I'm of course obviously trying to get my lighting right, because I was like, I got a shine up on the forehead. I don't have my makeup crew here. But it's like the what was it you said? What was that thing you just said?
Oh, I was talking about the scene where you were kind of snarling and staring.
Yeah, that's right. So it's like, you know, this was like, I mean, the first scene we shot was like a really random scene. It was like where we were calling for Nando to come back, you know, if you remember that scene.
Yeah.
That was the first scene I shot of the whole thing. And I'm sure they did that on purpose, that it was like this, you know, not that big a scene to just kind of get my feet wet and stuff like that. Or at least I assume that it seemed to work that way.
Right.
For me. So, but then, you know, then came the weekend. It was Saturdays that we shot those scenes in the comic book store. And I can't think of this right. You let me know if you, like, you can see me, right? I mean, yeah. Okay, so, so when we got to that Saturday, we're shooting all the comic, you know, that we're shooting that first comic book scene all day Saturday, and so like, you know, I'm still kind of new at this, and I'm still trying to impress people, and Joel's still talking to us about like how tough we are and stuff like that, and so it's like I just was kind of doing stuff, you know, just to, you know, like, you know, the way, I don't know if you guys do movies and stuff, but
yeah, a little bit.
Like, so it's like you do the whole scene, and and then it gets to your coverage, you're where they're close on you.
Yeah.
And and then it's like, no matter what you did in the whole scene, no matter all the cool things that you did, if you don't do it in your coverage, most of the time it's not going to come across.
Right.
There's a lot of pressure, and especially it was early in the shoot for me. So I just started doing stuff like that. Like I was just like trying to fill it with as much as I could. And that's where that little sneer developed. It just was kind of an organic approach to, like, I'm trying to intimidate this kid, and I don't have any lines in that moment, but I'm still trying to do it however I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those things that sticks out to me, like just like the voice that Corey does, Feldman. It's great.
Yeah. We told me a story about meeting Stallone and talking about that.
Oh man.
A couple years after the movie. So.
Which is funny. You look back on it now, and it's like so much that Batman style voice, like it's that kind of disguised voice, but he's not in a Batman,
right.
So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just something about that time period of his voice where he does sound like a teenager and a man at the same time, and it works.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
Because I saw it when I was really young, so it's like he was borderline an adult to me when I watched it for the first time. Probably. I mean, like I said, I don't remember, but
his voice was pretty deep, I gotta say. Like, now that you mention it,
it works. It works. What else is there to say?
Can you do it? Can you try it? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
let me see here. What? Give me a line here. What should I say?
Let's see.
Now I'm on the spot. Of course, I can't think of one.
Yeah, right. You like this, Sam? You'll like this, Sam from Phoenix, or Mr. Phoenix.
Oh yeah. You'll like this, Sam from Phoenix.
That's
good.
Book. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good too. Yeah, it's good.
I don't like horror comics.
You'll like this one, Mr. Phoenix.
Which
Mr. Phoenix?
We got hanging up back here. Replicas.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. They're prized possessions.
Now, where did you get that one? Did you get that at a convention or
eBay? I believe actually Justin has ones that were done by the Bottleneck Gallery, I think. I actually filled the insides. These ones are just the covers, but
yeah, the ones I got from Bottleneck Gallery are actually like officially licensed replicas, so they're pretty awesome.
Nice. Yeah, Feldman just showed me one of those. I was over at his place, and he was like, "Look at this one, man. Look at this one. It's got all the stuff inside it."
Nice.
It's cool. Yeah.
I'm still looking out for Batman 14, but we'll see what happens with that.
Did that is that stuff legit? Someone who was into comics at the time was like, that's totally wrong.
Well, I mean, I don't know about the number of them existing, but I do know that it is, if nothing else, thanks to Lost Boys, worth money now, and people want it.
That's good.
I have not been able to buy one, so.
Yeah, the movie alone at least caused that to become a collector's item. So.
Yeah,
that's good. I can dig that. That's cool.
So what was it like, working through some of those stunts? Because there's some pretty hairy scenes in there and a lot of stuff going on. So, you said you were just getting your feet wet, at the beginning of filming. What did that look like?
So when you're talking about the stunts, interestingly, there are a couple stunts that we did ourselves. We had stunt doubles, it's trippy in itself, stunt doubles, because you look across the set and that's you. They do a really good job, getting someone with the same body type and same clothes. Like they really, Hollywood, it's like they knew what they were doing. And but there was this one time where the stunt people were supposed to come, but it's like they got the call times, they called them later. They thought they were doing, this kind of thing, like thought they were doing a different scene. And then,
right.
So we were there and we were burning camera time. And so they were like, let's just do this stunt. So I don't know if you know this bit of trivia, but it's like that scene where like we come at Max, like me and Feldman come at Max, and he has that like stick or something, and he, and then he kind of pushes us away.
Yeah.
Like I think I roll over the table or something like that. So that was me like doing it. And it was cool. I mean, I think those are the only actual stunts we did. But the stuff with like the slime in the bathroom, that was really difficult stuff because like slime, it was gross. It was cold, and it was like it's slimy, and there we were, it's one thing to get like sprayed with this stuff. It's another thing to be sitting in it waiting for them to start rolling.
Right.
We were, probably before the scene where we really freaked out, that spot where like we were like hugging each other.
Yeah. The attack of Eddie Munster.
Right, just before that. Wait.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were like and so it's like all that stuff where we're like hugging and like really like freaking out like that. It's all like made up on the spot. It's
right.
like all, I mean, it's like not like we had to just make it up totally. Joel was pushing us in a certain direction and did some takes and then got it to where we wanted it. And it's just fun to see it and people talk about that scene, and it's like we were just there just kind of doing it, creating it, and it's fun, to think about it like that.
Yeah, that's awesome to see. So when you're doing that, you got a little bit of free will on the set there, you're able to, kind of improvise and do that. What does that look like when you go see the movie? Are you surprised which take they used, or did they kind of give you a good idea of what they really liked on set?
They were saying stuff on set, like a lot of stuff that they really liked, but there's no way to know, what makes it into the movie, because, once you get into that editing room, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter what looks good, but it, whatever advances the story, there's beautiful stuff probably that we don't probably remember,
right?
But that didn't make it because it just didn't advance the story. And, that's the case. That's been the case on, on every movie that I can think of, that you think like, oh, what happened to that scene? And then you just kind of forget about it because they usually choose the right, they don't, I mean, I guess that's, depending on how good the editing process is.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so, I mean, one thing is that like Joel, after the dinner scene, Joel was like, he pulled me aside and he was like, this is, like, you did awesome work in the scene. It was great. Just the sort of silent, like looking back and forth to each other and stuff. He was really digging that stuff. And so then I saw the movie, and a lot of that was in there, a lot of our reactions and things. And we looked, I thought, he's right, we looked super cool and everything. So, it's all kind of a crapshoot. Not quite a crapshoot, but you just don't know what it's going to look like in the end.
Yeah, especially then. I mean, you're shooting film right now; it's digital, so you can literally go take a look at the last take you did and kind of see if that framed up how you wanted it to. So that's a whole new style of filmmaking compared to what it was like then. So
yeah, and they also have multiple cameras going, and they don't care how much film they burn or digital memory they use up. And so yeah, I mean, but yeah, at the time, especially Lost Boys wasn't a big budget movie. It was actually kind of a smallish budget for the kind of movies they were making like that.
Yeah.
So it's like they're looking out for every, not quite every frame, but they're, like you say, they don't have the leeway to. Well, you're also just talking about playback. They did have a kind of a playback. They had, by the time Lost Boys was happening, they had a video camera behind the film so that the film was going. And so you could go back and look at the monitor and you would see the film in front of it. You would see the film flying by in front of it. But they didn't like us to go back and look at that stuff.
Right.
They were like, no kids, no kids looking at the playbacks and stuff. And what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So this movie's obviously held up so well in the pop culture zeitgeist. Like, what does that mean to you as someone that's been in it? Have you been surprised by how well it's held up, or how much it's beloved by fans everywhere? Or what's it like, having been in that and still seeing it so popular?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, this question comes up a lot, and it's different all the time, really. So like, I mean, it's different as I think about it at different times. For me, these days, now that I've had kids and I've done a lot of the kind of things in the middle of my life that I have been really important. And though those things are kind of going, and I'm kind of anxious to get back to it a little more. I've been, starting to develop my career a little bit more, doing some more things. And it's a great foothold, actually. Like, I'm not starting fresh. A lot of people have done a lot of work over the years, and then they don't, and then it's gone. And this thing has really stayed, and we're something that we can talk about more is we're trying to get this Frog Brothers show together, like a Frog Brothers TV show, which has been buzzing around Twitter a little bit and various things. And like, it's a really nice thing to be trying to put together as I'm trying to kind of start to do more movies again. So that's where it helps me, because I'm Alan Frog, and that's awesome, and I love that. And people, when we go to conventions, people want to talk to me, and people want to understand it. They want to see more of me, and they want to see more of me in other movies and stuff, and that's great. And that really means a lot to me. And over the years, it's been this beautiful little club, both on the side of all the actors who we keep in touch in various ways, but also with the fans, and it's become this really nice club to be a part of. And who knew that was going to develop out of it? I think that's probably the biggest surprise, that this kind of this world, this belonging that we all kind of have together.
Yeah, that's all. I love hearing the fact that you still talk to Feldman, and like you're still keeping up with him, like just that those friendships just build, and they can stay. Like it's kind of like, I imagine, Alec and I both played in bands, and some of those people I don't talk to all the time, but you have that relationship, so you can go several years without seeing somebody, and then you can go see them, and it's like you never didn't see him, for an extended period of time.
Because you had that intense time and creating together, and it's nice. Feldman and I, we weren't always in touch. There was like maybe a 10-year period. I went off to college. I was in New York. I was, trying to do theater and various other things, and he was here doing film and building his career that way, and we weren't in touch. But then since we've been in touch now, we've been in touch really about 20 years. So like 20 years since we kind of got back in touch and friends. And again, we were always friends, but that we hung out, and it's been really great. Actually, he's a good friend, and we hang out together, and we laugh, just just like that, like we've never been apart, good old friends, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's.
And I have that with some other guys too, also.
Well, that's good to hear. We are obviously huge Corey Feldman fans, also. So, just all of the things, everything from just hearing his voice pop up in Ninja Turtles, all the way to, we're also huge Gremlins and Goonies fans. It's pretty wild.
It's pretty amazing how, like, I was thinking about this the other day. I've thought about it a lot lately, that, there's a lot of actors and they've done a lot of different roles. But when you talk about the 80s, like Feldman, Goonies, Gremlins, Stand By Me,
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th, Dream a Little Dream. Even more from there, that I cannot think off the top of my head, but Lost Boys, I don't think I mentioned Lost Boys, actually. But it's crazy. It's crazy in a cool way. How many of these things that we love, and we that we want memorabilia from, and we want to kind of relive a little bit at times, in moments. Yeah, that he was a part of those. He was a big part of those.
I was going to ask you, there's been on, like, I'm not sure when this was, maybe a year or two ago, that the CW was trying to work on a Lost Boys show.
Yeah.
And all I heard mainly was the rumor that they were going to gender bend into the Frog Sisters, which I was totally like, yeah, sure, I'm down for that. Why not?
Yeah.
If you're going to redo it, sure. But hearing that you're also potentially, I don't know where that is. That might not even be worked on anymore, just because of how things go in show business. But hearing that you are at least thinking about, and there's mumblings about a Frog Brothers show is very exciting, because that's always been my favorite part of the Lost Boys. So
that's well, thank you. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, I'm not sure where the CW show is. And yeah, with the Frog Sisters thing, like, early on they were talking about that as a sequel, as part of the sequel, or not as part of the sequel. First, there was talk of sequel, like early on, like when there should have been a sequel,
Yeah.
And then they were talking about Lost Girls, and then and that's fine with me, because I think it's a cool idea, and like especially now, roles are getting expanded. Our gender roles are like, girls can, we can see girls this way in drama and in movies and things like that. The way we couldn't before. I mean, or maybe we could, but it was a little different. And now things are expanding in that way, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
And we did our little. Did you see our little audition as the Frog Sisters? We put it out on YouTube. It was like a spoof audition.
Oh, nice.
Like as Lost Girls.
Oh, I didn't see that, but yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Frog Sisters. Yeah, check it out. It's dumb. It's just us being stupid, me and Feldman. But
sounds great.
Yeah, and so I think when that show was going on, there was obviously no place for me at first, because there were, because of the way what I heard was how things were going, it started. Maybe it was a flashback. Is that the show that it was like started in the 60s or something like that?
I'm not sure. All I remember hearing about it was that they were going to be the Frog Sisters, and then it was going to be rebooted for CW in the vein of their other type of teen drama shows. So
yeah, and I hope that goes. I mean, the cool thing about doing a Frog Brothers show, as we've been talking about it, and and we're past the sort of planning stage. We are in the stage of like talking to people and trying to twist arms and whatever we have to do. But this kind of thing helps too, that you're talking about. The Frog Brothers were a big part of that movie, and it's because it's the Lost Boys, and there's so many other dynamic characters in that. I mean, I could name them all. Basically the Lost Boys, the pack of Lost Boys, and Jason Patrick and Corey Haim and everybody. Like, these are some really cool roles. These are some really awesome performances, I think. And Jamie Gertz too.
Yeah, we actually just did an event for the 25th anniversary for Twister, and she's in that too. So
yeah, that's
we were down in Wakita and did coverage of the 25th event they had there.
Nice. Did you get a chance to talk to her?
No, she wasn't there. We met Sean Whalen, and we're still trying to set up an interview with him. So hopefully we'll have that done. But
yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Not to age you, but I mean, it ages us too. I mean, I grew up watching this movie so much. 35th anniversary is next year. Jeez. I mean, if you put it on, I saw an advertisement for the 4K Blu-ray dropping next year. So if there was a time to drop a Lost Boys TV series, 35th anniversary sounds about right on the money.
Right. You're right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So especially with releasing that and doing those things. So
it's a good thing. We can throw this at them, if there's any resistance,
Exactly.
And like when we were, it came home, it was brought home to me when we were in the UK a couple years ago in Manchester, and like people are dressed up as Frog Brothers. We all did pictures together with Kiefer and Jason and everybody, and about half the people were wearing Frog Brothers t-shirts, and I just thought that was just so, I just felt so good about that, so happy about that, and it goes into the pitch. I mean, we there's all kinds of things they can do with the Lost Boys. There's reboots, there's sequels, there's these characters, the Lost Girls, everything.
Right.
A Frog Brothers show. A lot of people have been wanting that actually for a long time, not just us.
Right.
Yeah, I think that'd be extremely dynamic, just because, I mean, if you look up at the sequels, right? The second sequel didn't have, you featured much, but in the third sequel, like you really start to just scratch the surface of where your character's at and what he's been doing. And like, that's the questions you're left with at the end of that is like, well, we kind of have an idea of what happened, but really what's going on, because, you know, you're kind of reluctant. Like there's so much backstory to your character, like that could be explored through a series about you two and how you're going through that. Right.
Yeah, totally.
There was
it's an offshoot. It doesn't have to have the
Exactly.
burden of the sequel.
Yeah, there was what are those? The Lost Boys, Reign of the Frogs comics that kind of came out around that time too, and you know, we reviewed those on the podcast just because we're obviously, you know, the perfect people to go on about that. So we're always looking for more Frog Bros stuff, and yeah, it's just crazy to hear you talking about that. We will do anything. You can tell them when you're pitching, tell them, you know, there's a podcast out there that is called the Frog Bros Podcast, and they're new. You know, there's a market for this.
You know, I just might actually just might say that, because, you know, all these little things go into this for the studio and for just evaluating what's good for the franchise, you know, and everything. And, you know, I had put together a little kind of pitch kit for this, and I referenced a bunch of things, like I was saying about the Manchester show and everything, and this, I think I will bring this up, and I'll tell them that you told me to tell them that.
Yeah. No, we're stoked. We would cover it week by week.
In-depth breakdowns, whatever. Yeah, we
would absorb all of the merchandise. We would empty our wallets. There's not enough merch out there. We need new action figures. I need Frog Brothers action figures.
You know what? I've been trying to work that a little bit, and I keep getting unfocused and going to something else, but I don't see why. I just want to put together some, you know, even just a few sets of them, you know, just, you know, because like, why not? I don't understand. I even asked for an action figure. I said to Joel on the set that I was like, I want to have an action figure. And of course I was joking because we didn't know what the movie was going to, you know, how successful it's going to be, but
right.
You know, it just shows you, I've been asking about it for almost 35 years now.
Yeah. NECA did,
not when it came out, but when we were shooting it. So that's
the nostalgia timing's right. Like, I mean, we never had proper Back to the Future figures, and we've got those. And as you hit a 35th anniversary, right? Back to the Future had it, Ghostbusters had it. As the Lost Boys comes up, like, it's really the time to really put that brand back in the forefront of, you know, the pop culture and share that with a new generation and really let that brand grow and thrive. I mean, if you look at that's how everyone's doing things, the streaming series alone or whatever you want to do with that, there's just so much potential.
Yeah, you know, I started with pitching it as a streaming show, but the powers that be, or at least, you know, so far, want to do a real, you know, that's not a real show, but you know, a standard TV show, something like that. But that could change 100 times, you know, before it hits the air. But it's exciting to talk about it. It's exciting to talk about with you guys, because I mean, I know this sentiment is out there, but, you know, talking about it and kind of, you know, the 35th anniversary, it's like, sure, I knew that was coming up, but the idea that that's next year and we're kind of here, like we could hit that.
Yeah.
You know, certainly hit that. Even if it went to the next year, we could start promoting it. You know, we'd be shooting it and promoting it in the 35th year. So, you know, it's some exciting stuff. You guys are good at this, you know.
We would, yeah. Well, you know, if that comes to fruition, we would love to, you know, help promote it. You know, have you back on to talk about it, of course.
Yeah, I totally will. And you know, and bring Feldman next time. We'll, you know, I mean, be like, these guys want to help us. These guys want to.
Oh yeah.
Want to make this happen.
Well, we got about 3 minutes left on our timer for recording.
Cool.
I do just want to again say thank you for coming on here. This has been super informative and fun.
For me too.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I mean, it's tough to carve out the time with kids and family and all those obligations, but I think the thing that's, you know, I'm the happiest about this is just seeing you still have the passion for all this, right? You know, people that are doing, you know, that can kind of come and go, but to see that you've got that itch back to get back into it now that you've got a little bit more flexibility as you're and your fatherhood, that's awesome that you still got those things there. I think as a creative type, it never leaves you. It may kind of wane a little bit depending on priorities, but you always get that itch to come back. And I'm happy to hear that you're right there feeling in your prime again. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's like, you might try to shun it away and be like, hey, I should be responsible adult and everything, but it's there, that creative spark. It's there and it lives and it just grows, so.
You want to do us a favor and give us a line reading before you go?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Will you say for us something along the lines of, hi, I'm Jamison Newlander, Alan Frog, and you're listening to the Frog Brothers podcast, or, something like that.
Yeah, totally. Let's give it a try. I can also do it maybe again too. If it's, we're going to cut off quick. Hi, I'm Jamison Newlander, Alan Frog from the Lost Boys. And you're listening to, what is it?
Either or, listening to.
Okay, let's try it. Almost, I'm an actor, take a couple.
You got it.
Hi, I'm Jamison Newlander, Alan Frog from the Lost Boys, and you're watching the Frog Brothers podcast.
That's great. We appreciate your time.
Totally.
We appreciate you saying that. Let's have you on again sometime in a couple months, maybe, or something. We'll talk more.
Sounds great. And maybe I'll have an update on where we are with that show.
That'd
Awesome.
be great.
I really appreciate it. Take care. And we hope to hear back from you soon with some excellent, exciting news.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Good to talk to you guys.
All right. Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.